Alright, so this is part 2 of my Samsung Eternity review. This will be the segment where I talk about the cons of the device. Alright, so first off, the first con I have on this list would be, while it's charging, the bottom on the back of it gets hot. And I don't know if it's because it's charging or if it's because on the bottom of the device there is a light. So whenever you get calls or anything, it flashes on the bottom. You can change the color of it, but it flashes while it's charging, and I don't know if that's the reason why, if it's just the LED light that's possibly making it hot, but that could be a bad thing. You wouldn't want the device burning up within owning it for just a few days. Alright, second thing, the battery back, the cover on the back of the device, is hard to get on and off. And I don't know if that'll be a big deal to you guys. I mean, unless you're constantly getting in the back, which the only reason why I can think of is for your SD card, or if you're switching out SIM cards, which you'll probably be switching out SD cards more than that. But it's really hard to get on and off. If your hands are sweaty or slick or oily, trying to slide it off of there, you have to slide it down, but you have to kind of press down, and since it's plastic, you don't want to press too hard. So when you're pressing it off, it's really hard to do. So you have to make sure you kind of have dry hands or something. And getting it back on, you would think that, okay, you slide it down to get it off, you'll slide it up to get it on. Well, you do slide it up, but then I don't know if it's bad for it or if I was doing it wrong or what it was, but if you have to press on both sides. So okay, you have the device, and I'll use my iPhone for instance, here's the back. You slide it back up, and then on each side you kind of have to pop it, and then you come over here and you have to pop it. And no, like I was saying, you have to press it on both sides, which can get really annoying if you're getting in the back. But if that's something you have to do, it could get on your nerves. Next, the call quality. You would think nice high-end $80 phone or more have good call quality. Well, most Samsungs do. I have never had a problem with Samsung. But this one, you have a little bit of white noise. In fact, kind of a lot of white noise. And also, I had a tendency of dropping calls, and I couldn't hear some of the words that my girlfriend or my father was saying. So it really got on my nerves that the call quality was so bad. So that's one of the reasons why I took it back. I forgot to mention that was the call quality and the fact that I hardly had any signal or anything in my house whatsoever. So that's a terrible con, especially since it's a phone. You should have good call quality on a phone. Next would be there's no good apps for it. Of course, there's not going to be good apps. It's not an iPhone. It's just a little low-end phone. And well, middle end. I'm not going to call it a low end. It was nice. But there's no apps for it. Couldn't sleep. And I searched for Java apps. I searched for third-party apps and couldn't find a thing that I actually liked. I did find if you're subscribed to my channel or looked at my channel, I did find that Twim app, which was a Twitter client, which wasn't too bad. I used it every day. In fact, I used it all day, every day. So it wasn't a bad app whatsoever. And then I found a Bible app. So that was kind of terrible, but expected. So I wasn't mad about it. Next, there was no flash for the camera, which is weird because some Samsungs, if you get the touchscreens on like T-Mobile or something, they have flashes. In fact, it didn't even have a vanity mirror, which is weird because there's normally a self-portrait mirror or vanity mirror, whatever you want to call it, on the back of a phone, and there wasn't. So taking a picture of yourself or yourself with your girlfriend or anything of that sort, or trying to get a good flash, couldn't take pictures in dark areas. Had good picture quality, couldn't take good pictures in the dark. So that was kind of a bad con, since I am a photographer. You can check out my Flickr account. And it didn't come, which this kind of did annoy me, since it had a 3.5mm headphone jack. You would expect some headphones. No headphones. Open it up, no headphones. If you look at my unboxing, there wasn't any. And no USB cable. Which I know it wasn't a PDA phone, but you would expect something like that to have a USB cable to put music on it, when it is kind of a music phone. It was pretty much, that was the big part of it. 3.5mm headphone jack, could hold up to an 8 gig SD card, and had no USB cable or headphones. Another problem I had with it was it took over 3 hours to charge. For me, that's a big deal when the iPhone doesn't take nearly that long. Neither did my old LG CU500, I think it was. But this one took over 3.5 hours. And it really annoyed me, because when it dies at work, you got to charge it, and you can't use it for 3 hours. Going without your phone for 3 hours is kind of a big deal, especially for people out there that use their phone pretty much all day long, like me. Also, there wasn't enough space for many widgets. See, okay, on the front of the screen, it had a way smaller screen than that. I think it was only 3.5 inches. Tiny screen. That was a problem because the widgets, when you got a screen like this, and you got a widget like this, you can add one widget and maybe another one, which the only other small one to add to that screen would be the Bluetooth widget or the alarm widget. One of those two, maybe mobile TV, but I don't even get mobile TV coverage out here. So they needed to either make the screen larger or make the widget size smaller. And that was kind of annoying because I couldn't keep many widgets on there, and I normally didn't because of that reason. Alright, the digital clock widget, which I don't know if it was only the digital clock widget or if it was also the analog clock widget, but it doesn't update itself correctly. When you have it on the home screen and you lock the phone, when it's locked, might say 2:19, and when you open it up, it might say 1:20, you know? And that's not good when you want to look at it while you're on the phone. You go back to your home screen. You don't want to have to lock it every time or look at the very tiny time at the top. If you want a big clock, you might want it to update. Next, there's not many useful widgets, and there's no downloadable ones. Like I said, there wasn't any third-party apps that were really worth it, and also there were none whatsoever. I don't know if I couldn't find them, but I didn't see or nor could find any third-party widgets, nor was there a widget store. So that was really annoying. And not any of the widgets that it even came with weren't even that useful. You had the clock, you had the calendar, the event thing didn't even show your events like it should. Let's see here. The only actual useful ones I found were probably the alarm, the Bluetooth, and you can set your mode for silent or anything like that, your profiles. Only really useful ones. Oh yeah, and the music player. Those were all I could find that were really useful. The HTML web browser, it was terrible. Like mentioned in the pros, which is kind of weird to put a con in the pros, the HTML wasn't literally an HTML browser. You try to bring up YouTube, it was going to be slow, it was going to be laggy, you couldn't get where you wanted to go. You zoom in, it zooms in too far. It was terrible. Some of the links didn't work, it didn't support Flash like it should have. You could go to YouTube mobile, but if you went to YouTube's full desktop HTML website, it did not support Flash, so you couldn't watch videos there. Made no sense. Didn't know why they advertised as an HTML browser when it wasn't. Now, the next thing was you had to move the battery to get to the SD card slot. You could see the SD card slot with the battery in, but you couldn't put a card in without taking out the battery. That's always been annoying. Most phones are like that. It makes no sense. I like it better when it's on the side of the phone, or even if it's on the inside, but it's able to get to. Who wants to turn off their phone to put in an SD card? Shouldn't have to do that. Last two things, the call and end key were wobbly. Like said in my one day with the Samsung Eternity video, if it was like one button and they were wobbly. They kind of wobbled and jogged back and forth, and it shouldn't do that. Every time I pushed them, I felt like I was going to break it. And the last thing I have to say, since this thing's almost 9 minutes, the speaker and vibration were too quiet and weak. And just like how I said about the call quality, it's a phone. You should be able to feel the vibration, you should be able to hear your ringtone without any problem whatsoever. Turn it all the way up, turn the vibration all the way up, and you were not going to feel it. Completely annoying. Don't know why a phone would be made like that. Now, besides all of those cons, which some of them were pretty big, the pros kind of overweighed them. I liked the phone. If I would have never used an iPhone in my life, I would have kept the phone. But it didn't work out. So, peace, love, bye. Thank you for watching. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. If you do not comment, at least rate. Don't rate, please comment. If you like my videos and looking forward to more, let me know what you would like to see in my videos, and I'll do them. Alright. Thank you, God bless, and peace.